Purple light in the canyon. That's where
They're like holding like a Michelob Ultra or something. And I'm like, it's the same company.
Yeah.
It's Anheuser-Busch. So anyways, I leaned into the bit harder and I just bought like the mini bottles.
Yeah.
So they're like even smaller. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, a Bud Light. And I'm like, oh, I know. I got to get the small ones too. A real size one's just too much for me. You know, so I just lean into it.
God, that's hilarious.
But anyways, you were talking
Too
about
much for me.
your hands looking. You have big hands on this microphone.
Yeah, when I like the little soda cans because they're like perfect. I just need a nip. I don't need a,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, there was this dude sitting there. I just met him, and he was kind of like, I don't know, he's probably like 20 feet from me.
Yeah.
And I just saw him just like looking at him while I was drinking that beer, and I was just like, you want a Bud Light or what? And he was like, no, are you actually? He's like, do you just have like enormous hands? Or what's going on there? And then he walked a little closer. I was like, no, these are little miniature ones. And he was like, oh my gosh. Because I think he was a little drunk.
Oh, yeah.
So he was just over there in a vortex. Like this guy's not that tall, but this bottle looks like this big.
Like it's jungle. Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
But like, no.
Yeah, I'm gonna take you out there next year.
It'll be a good time.
It's not quite as rowdy as people like try to
Make it seem like.
And you're around the rodeo crowd.
Or maybe
so
maybe the outskirts are where the raunchiness is.
it's like anything.
Yeah.
It's like any city in America. If you want to find trouble, you're gonna find trouble.
1,000%.
Were you a big city? Where were you born?
I go back and forth. Like, I mean, where I'm from is, if you grew up in a town of 300 people, then you would think 30,000 people is a lot. But then you like go in a stadium where there's like 80,000 people in it. You're like, oh, well, maybe that's not a lot. But I go back and forth. Like, I think I like having a place that's maybe separate from a ton of people. But like business wise, like I want to be around people and I like being able to like go out of my office and go get coffee or be able to walk to stuff. So I go back and forth on it.
But like, where are you from originally?
Originally, I'm from a little town called Gloucester, Virginia. So
Gloucester what?
Gloucester.
Gloucester.
Or anybody over there say Gloucester or Gloucester, it gets murdered. It's like a long deal. But
Virginia though, not West Virginia.
Not West Virginia. West Virginia is the little town we put it. It's a zoo. We put a fence around it and called it West Virginia. No, but yeah, Virginia. 2 up, 2 down.
What is that one?
So actually, this is the Vulcan hand sign. But if you go back to Pharrell,
I thought that was like a Star Trek thing.
Vulcan, yeah, Star Trek.
Oh, see, that shows you how much I don't even know. Yeah. I don't even know.
But
that
like
Star
here,
Trek.
or we'll do the 2 up, 2 down for Virginia.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but yeah, it's easy little Vulcan deal.
Do you have
practice.
to do? You have to.
Pharrell made it cool because that's when like clips and everything blew up, and they had their. I want to say the production company was called Star Trek, but it was spelled with a TRAK instead of Trek. So then it blew up, and then everybody was doing that. And we were
Pharrell's from Virginia.
Oh,
where's he from in Virginia?
I think closer to that Virginia Beach area because that's kind of a big, I guess, hot point of production. Like Timberland, and then they all kind of work in that Virginia area. Like that's kind of where they kind of have their little thing. So like Missy Elliott's kind of from that area. So like and Clips and a lot of those artists out that way just blew up. Apparently, over the years, like a lot of artists have kind of come through Virginia just as to get for producers and stuff like that, just to either get a different sound or stuff like that. So
interesting. I haven't spent hardly any time there.
You got to go. You're halfway there. From here to Tennessee, it's like 10 hours. Just drive another 10, you're there.
Isn't that deceptive?
Yeah.
Tennessee's a long ways away from here. Every time I drive it, I'm like, gosh, it is far.
I'm about to go soon. I got a rodeo at the end of the month, in the May.
In Tennessee?
Yep, Nashville.
Oh, is it the PBR?
No, it's a brand new music.
It's an actual rodeo?
It's going to be a pro rodeo
really?
in Bridgestone.
How have I not heard about that?
They've been kind of like, they've done some nice promotion, but it hasn't like blown up.
Who's putting it on?
I don't know. Well, the guy I know, his name is Patrick. I met them in Reno. It was kind of a weird kind of interaction when you're like, they're like, hey, I'm so-and-so. I'm like, oh, I'm Click Thompson. Like, we know who you are. I'm like, okay, well.
Yeah, you better.
Cool.
What's up, Vulcan?
That's good. Yes,
yeah,
man.
That's right. That's what I'd hit him with.
I'm not West Side. I'm from the East Side. But,
oh, damn. Yeah.
There's all kinds of.
This is way too hip for me.
I'm trying to think. There any other weird gang signs I do?
Wait, it's a gang sign?
I mean, you could do West Coast.
No, but the Vulcan one.
Vulcan one can be. I mean, it's just a hand gesture. I mean, it means nothing and everything at the same
But
time.
I feel like West Side means something.
Oh yeah,
In the
especially right now, the West Coast music.
And I'm kind of an authority on like gang culture and gang signs.
Okay, I
and
can
stuff.
see that.
Yeah,
I
I would
see
say
that.
that.
What's your favorite color?
Yeah, so I don't really like to pick a side
Yeah, yeah.
necessarily.
I mean, hey,
I like to take like a real neutral stance.
Switzerland's solid. I like that. That's
because
me.
I've been in all of them.
Yeah. Wow.
And been in
no face tattoos.
Pretty.
How did you pull that off?
Yeah, it's like they really try to slide in under the radar.
Yeah. That's where I would be, honestly, if I could be in a gang, or like if I could be kind of like a liaison to everybody.
Liaison,
like,
dude.
hey, like we'll talk about it. I get it. They drove by your house. Obviously, y'all want to, you want to have a rebuttal. Maybe next time, let's wait till they're not in an area where there's a ton of other people. Like, hey, I'm all for you getting yours back, but let's maybe cut down on the, innocent bystanders. What do you say?
Sure. I don't think anyone that ever uses the word liaison is ever going to have any
gang liaison. That would be. Well, I mean, I don't know if that's an official title, but I know there's got to be somebody that's like understands the inner workings. Like, hey, they made a mistake. We'll take care of it in house.
I think that's called an attorney.
I mean, well, unofficially. I know I'm using regular English, but I'm less gang language.
Yeah.
But I mean, the attorney could work too.
Yeah. Well, we've got like a plan B for you, I guess.
I mean, no, I already got my plan B. I already know
what's that.
I'm going to be the guy who plays Megatron at like Universal Studios or whatever. It's like he's everything that's deep down inside. He just roasts people.
Megatron.
So they have like these crazy interactive like deals where you go up and you can stand. Imagine like take Barney all those years ago, like it's a person in a suit. They've got this huge giant interactive deal that it's like Megatron from Transformers, and they switch him out like sometimes Optimus Prime is there. And like you walk up and like there's a whole girl named Kenya. If you go on a TikTok, there's a girl named Kenya who has like this bestie relationship with this Megatron dude. He remembers her. I don't know if it's a guy in the suit or how they do it because he's huge.
Okay.
Like it would literally have to be like a guy inside like a giant suit. And he like he roasts everybody. But Kenya in particular, he's like, because he's seen her stuff too. He's like, oh great. It's Kenya. Like, and you would think like,
oh, you actually have a little bit of the.
Oh yeah, like I have it down.
Tron
like,
voice too.
The best part was when he walked up the one time and she's like, Kenya, how was your day today? And as soon as she starts talking, he's like, I don't care. and there's a line of people that see this whole deal, and you come up and get your little picture with Megatron, but it's like you're a repeat customer. He starts to like remember you. And it's hilarious.
Is Megatron Transformers?
Yeah, so he's like the villain. You have Optimus Prime, who's the leader of the Autobots, and then
but you kind of had the Optimus Prime voice too.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the same voice.
I know, right?
It's just bass, and like Optimus talks about great things and how we can progress and be great, and let's be good for the world. And like Megatron's trying to take over and conquer everything.
Are you kind of nerdy?
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure, 1000%. Like,
how do you define a nerd?
I think it's just nerd would be more on the science fiction side. Like a geek.
You're telling me Transformers not science
I mean, Transformers is science fiction for sure.
Okay.
But is it also real? I feel like there's probably Transformers walking around. I mean, well, if they can do it at Disney, Lord knows military wise what we've already got built.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Okay.
So, but yeah, like I think Star Wars, Star Trek, me, I'm from Virginia. My family's from Virginia, but I was born in Japan. So I've been exposed to anime and all that my entire life, which is essentially just art and, so creative stuff. But yeah.
How long did you live in Japan?
I was a young lad. I want to say from when I hit the ground. So I want to say probably four or five. I was in Japan.
Like military family then?
Yeah. Dad was in the Navy. And then my mom, when she was there, she taught English actually. Yeah. So
why did y'all move back?
I think he just gotten stationed somewhere else, and then,
So was he still active duty in Virginia?
Then he was, yeah.
Okay,
yeah. He's out now.
Yeah, but then when y'all came back to Virginia, like what was his job? What did he do in the Navy?
I know he was well, I think he's had several different jobs, but
can't talk about it.
I know one time he was like the mail guy, like he was the post officer, like that was his jam, which I think. one, it's an important deal because you want everybody to get their mail and stuff like that. But I think too, just kind of his personality, it allowed him to kind of focus that way and not be on the main lines. I don't think he was anything cool like Steven Seagal in what's it called? That one movie where he's a cook, but he's actually a Navy SEAL. But
Could it? Maybe it was him.
that was a cool movie. I have to
know,
go watch that.
He's the
again.
postman, but
Shout
really,
outs to the party cake scene. But that's 18 and over.
what was his person? Is he's still alive?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Actually, funny story. I was with some friends, and she's like, and my friend was a horse trainer, and she's like, I want you come with us. We're gonna meet this this family. She wants you to take pictures of her horses. And I'm like, I'm newer into the Western game. Like I wasn't used to like people having money like that. So as soon as we drive in, automatic gate. So I'm still pretty new to that kind of level of people who have fancy stuff like that. She's like, oh, she just bought the silo. We're gonna turn it into like an Airbnb or something. I'm like, okay. So we're rolling along. And we come into this deal. Immediately I got like this mafia vibe. Like she's super nice. She knows everything about me and everything. Oh, I want you to come take pictures of my horses. She's got this big, pretty Palomino and a couple other horses. And she just wants pictures of them running out in the field and things like that. And when we get there, there's like her and her husband, and then there's like this old couple sitting in the corner that don't really speak. I'm like, okay, hey, how you doing? And I don't like tomatoes. Like I'll eat salsa, ketchup, but like a raw tomato is just not my jam.
Okay.
I'll eat even guacamole now. I'm good. And I'm like trying not to be rude, but she has like these crab stuff deals. So I'm like quietly scooping out the crab and like doing the whole deal, like where we're prepping to go shoot these horses. So we go shoot the horses, whatever. Everything's smooth. Go have dinner, and this guy's got like this old Sicilian pizza deal, and he just he talks about money like it's not a thing. Like my friend Ashley and her boyfriend's there, and he's like trying to talk them into getting married. He's like, you need a ring? I got a guy. Like, go down Miami. It's just a $4.5 million ring. I'm like, 4.5, like no big deal. So then they make like this. Yeah, I made this drink with like chocolate Godiva and all this deal. And the lady's like, oh, you can go back inside and refill it. Well, I walk into the deal in her cellar, whatever deal. And I look up and there's pictures of them with Steven Seagal. I'm like, huh, that's interesting. As soon as we leave the house, I'm like, hey, so was that a mafia house that you just took me to? She's like, pretty much. I'm like, fair enough. All right.
Actual mafia?
I mean, I'll say there were probably mafia adjacent.
Maybe I don't know enough about Steven Seagal.
I mean, I'm sure he's been around some.
But was that what tipped you off to the mafia thing?
I'm just like,
or was it just,
or it's just like, man, that's a unique celebrity to have a picture with. Like it's kind of, or that's up there in the genre of like Robert De Niro, or like you're like,
yeah. How did this happen?
How did y'all connect?
Where was this place at?
It was in Virginia.
Oh, it was in
Virginia.
Virginia.
You gotta go.
But this was kind of your first.
Kind of early, like when I was just starting to take pictures in the Western space, and I didn't know what was. It's like when I came here and people were like, have you done a bluebonnet shoot? I'm like, a what? I'm like, you want to take pictures of bluebonnets? Or,
Yeah.
And then I would pull up like on Google and I see people laying in a field of bluebonnets. I'm like,
proud of
you mean
flowers.
those purple flowers that
Yeah.
everyone keeps? I'm like, whatever. Fair enough. I mean, they're paying, I'm playing.
What was the most shocking thing to you when you first got into like the Western culture? It's funny we're saying Western culture when you're in Virginia.
When you're in Virginia. Yeah. I think shocking in a good way is that for the most part, like everyone are usually pretty good people. Like you're obviously going to meet your few. They're like not your cup of tea, or just, you can tell, or just kind of a bad dude, but like how everyone's like kind of in it to help everyone out for the most part. Just, I wasn't used to that level of, or that feeling of going like when you interact with someone the first time and you're like, oh man, that person might be a friend for the rest of my life, and like I've only known them a month. Like you just like when you look forward in life, you're like, oh, I think we'll be good. Kind of like when we met, or like, of course, we had crossed paths a few times. But like when we sat down for the first time to actually talk, I'm like, I think we're good. I don't see me and Jarrod being pissed off at each other ever.
I mean, yeah, I didn't feel like that. But
Yeah, that's not what you said.
No, I would say most times I meet people, that's usually their reaction to me.
Yeah.
Is like, oh,
which is,
hey, it's not that bad.
Oh,
Huh. It's not a total dick.
I never got that impression. Like I was just like,
good.
oh, he seemed like he'd be a cool dude.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't.
We were gonna make merch that just has my face and it says punchable.
Punchable. Hey,
Yeah.
I get it. As long as you can just, I mean, they can punch the shirt. As long, got to maintain
Yeah,
that.
yeah, no kidding.
Which, I mean, after all the gang liaison stuff you've been doing, I'm surprised there's no face tattoo. So you've
Yeah,
done good.
well,
You've done
I
good.
reconstructive surgery.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Beauty of America or Turkey, wherever.
So did you go to college in Virginia? Did you?
I did. My bachelor's was at Virginia State University in Petersburg, Virginia, which is kind of just 30 minutes from Richmond. And then my master's I actually did online from the Savannah College of Art and Design.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
you got your master's in art design? What
Yeah,
does that
I
mean?
have a master's in photography, but it's from
Whoa.
yeah. My bachelor's is in like visual communications, graphic design, but my master's is in photography.
Okay, so when you say art design.
Yeah. So Savannah College of Art and Design.
Oh, gotcha.
Or SCAD.
Okay. You got your
yeah.
master's in photography.
Yeah.
What is that like?
So I would say I would relate it to this way. Like when you go to college, your undergraduate experience, you're just trying to figure out who you are as a person. Like, yes, you have a field. It's just something you like, right? It's just like when someone graduates with a bachelor's in business. Okay. Some people are handy at it, but it's like, what do you actually want to do? And then when you pursue your master's, now you're starting to kind of find your voice, right? What do what's your actual interests, both subject matter wise, but also creatively? Like, what mediums do you like to work with? What, like, with music. I got my bachelor's in music. Now, when you go to get your master's, like, okay, what instrument do you really like to use, or what kind of helps you convey your voice
Sure.
the best? So
at what point during your bachelor's did
Yeah.
you always have a knack or a love for photography, or was that something you figured out as you were going through?
kind of as I was going through, like my bachelor's program was kind of all over the board. So we had like animation classes, we had design classes. So it was definitely like figuring out what you liked, right? You didn't have to make a decision on what you wanted to do the rest of your life, kind of in that way. It was just like, oh, but then I had another photography class because I shot film in high school, and then I do this deal, and I'm like, and the issue I was having is, as a creator, as a designer, I'd kind of get like writer's block. I know now that it was just how I prepared. I wasn't doing when they say you need to brainstorm and write it all down. I'm like, I don't need to brainstorm. I know what I like, But when you actually write it down, now you kind of have a roadmap for where you've kind of processed and what you've thought about and how you want to create something. But like with photography, I gravitated it so fast because whatever I liked, I could photograph. Really liked music, so I could shoot concerts. But if you like food, you could shoot food. If you wanted to, you like shooting portraits of people, you could do that. But I didn't have to think about it. It was like I took a picture, I could just look and go, do I like this or do I not like this? If I don't, I can change it and then I can keep moving forward. So it was this constant. It was effectively, I was brainstorming through the camera versus writing it down on a sheet of paper. And then like you're pursuing this next kind of, what's the next goal kind of thing. But then on the business side, I thought about, well, maybe a company needs a designer and a photographer. And I'm like, well, that has value. I could go, hey, maybe you want to redo a catalog. I can actually photograph your product, and then I can actually take those images and put it in your catalog. So now you're not trying to chase down this one person to get your images and then try to make sure it fits here. Like, it's the same guy. So I can give you a little bit more bang for your buck.
You seem like you do a pretty good job of combining like just the art and the inspiration and the technical. Like you don't seem to get too hung up on a lot of the technical stuff, and maybe that depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah, I think because actually, so I teach photography clinics on rodeo photography, and two things I talk about being technically proficient, because I think that's important. And I believe that part of your success is actually loving the craft. But then I talk about how an image feels, right? Which is not something that you can necessarily calculate, compute, right? Because we've all seen suns. Actually, I had someone text me last night. She says, why does a sunset photo not feel or look like it does when you're there? And I said, well, there's two answers to this. The first half is like your eye. It's like we haven't reached that point where we can build a camera that is as advanced and as can adjust and as fast as a camera. Like when you walk out out of the sunlight into a room, your eye immediately adjusts to it.
Crazy.
Yeah, right. And cameras don't work that fast, right? The other side of it is a camera is a machine. And I think there is a spiritual element to capturing a moment and being in the moment, right? So now your brain it's the same thing like when you hear a recording and like that feeling when that's your song and your artist plays it the first time you hear it, right? Similar to like the first time you ever hear a song, right? And versus like listening to it 10 years later. There's that emotional thing. But when you look at a picture, that's why I like Photoshop and like, because when you see an image, usually of a landscape, it's more than likely it's been touched, it's been pushed up. Like the colors are like have been pushed up to kind of be reminiscent of that feeling that you had when you saw it. So like, yeah, there's a spiritual element to that. But yeah, like I don't want to get too caught up in it being perfect technically if it feels right.
Because it feels like we're in a point of really any art form that the average person doesn't want something to seem too, let's call it produced or too slick. In some ways they don't want it to look or sound like you tried too hard on it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they want it to be good.
Yeah.
And feel like they're there. So I'm sure you get hit with it all the time where they're like, well, I just want it to look a little bit more raw and like it's a little too slick. How do you
I actually had a past student who she sent me, we were talking about just AI and we were talking about like noise reduction and stuff like that. And I tell people all the time, I'm like, what I shoot predominantly is gritty, dirty stuff. Like, so I'm not trying to make it look polished like this high fashion image. And I go back and forth with it. Like you want it to look like you know what you're doing, but you don't want it to look, and that's the battle I think artistically that you fight. I think you're always trying to be better, either technically or like or whatever the thing is that gives you the high, whether it's you're always trying to get a little better at that, and sometimes it's getting better to make it look easier or simple or I remember the first time I was like learning how to ice skate. And how I looked at it was like competing forces, because you'd see like some young kid who barely, and all of a sudden you just watch him glide out there, right? And then you realize that his body isn't competing with the surface that he's on, right? And like that's the same kind of thing with music, like, or like any instrument or anything that like has a physical part, like you're trying not to, that's the moment when you're like no longer, they're not competing forces, they're working together, right? Like the same thing how maybe a guitar feels or how a camera feels in your hand. Or I went to a rough stock school and like in my head I'm like, man, I don't know. And it was really good because I got to sit down and talk to some of these younger bareback riders. I'm like, how do you, it seems like that's a lot of chaos and a lot of danger that never goes away, but there's a certain moment when you turn a corner and like now you're in tune with the horse, because for a long time, particularly when they're really young, like this looks just like a bad choice. This looks stupid.
Yeah.
Like why why would you put your body through this? Like I watched one kid break his wrist. I watched a couple kids get like stepped on their head and they're like bleeding out of their head. And I'm like, when does this get better? Right? Like I'm like, and then like you break your wrist, that takes some time before you can try it again. Right? There's a lot of mental time that you have to speak. I'm like, how in the world? How do we get there? Right? And then all of a sudden one day it gets easier, right? And maybe it's they weren't hyper focused on the technical side, or maybe they were just more like focused on how it felt. And then all of a sudden now he he stays in the middle of the horse the whole time. You're like, all right. I mean, but it's like there's not that competing forces again, and now it looks easy. But the thing, when you talk about stuff looking easy, people forget that all the work you had to put in to get to that, right? Like, yeah, mechanic, and it looks like a really difficult task, but I've been doing it for so long that now it looks easy. Or,
Tell me what you think about this. I think like the written word, and so like just being a writer,
Yeah.
and photography
Mhm.
are the two most difficult art forms to stand out.
Yeah.
Like I can see variations in the approaches.
Yeah.
I can see it when it does stand out. I can be
Mhm.
like, whoa, that's different.
Yeah.
But like for me, it's really difficult for me to think about if I were to do that art. And I'm a writer, but I have
Mhm.
melody. So
Yeah.
like I get to cheat.
Yeah.
Like melody and how you sing it and how you produce it and all that
Yeah,
is
for
like
sure.
just so many other variables to make you stand out and be
Mhm.
unique. If it was just purely written word,
Yeah.
I'm like, how could you sound and seem different with that? But you can.
Yeah, for sure.
And photography is like it's the same way. Like I see your stuff and I'm like, yeah, that's different. But I can't think about me doing it. I'm just like, what would I even start with? Like
And it's funny.
I would be curious if you even agree with that assessment.
Me being a poor writer for the majority of my life, like, and it's still something that I have to really spend time doing it. Like, I remember one time I wrote something, I don't know, I was conveying my thoughts and I sent it to my mom because she was always the measuring stick when I was a young kid. Am I doing this right? And I knew I was okay when she called me. She goes, am I talking to the same person that wrote this? Like because she had been there through all the trials of me just trying to be good at communicating and not, having the diarrhea of the mouth and writing a run along sentence and all these other things. So then when I put something that was concise together, and meanwhile, like I spent, it may be 2 paragraphs, but I spent all day trying to make sure they were good. Um, like I knew I'd kind of, you have to work at it. But I think the one thing I tell a lot of people with photography is that it is a lifelong process. Like it's a lifelong thing because everybody wants everything right now. And I think part of that too is there's an oversaturation. Because I think photography in particular has gotten to a point where people think it's an innate skill, like walking. Like I can take a picture, like, yeah, but
I guess that's my point is like the barriers to entry are some of the lowest.
yeah.
Yet I find it to be one of the most difficult in terms of actually doing something like unique and original. Because
Oh yeah.
because it's like the barriers to entry are so low.
Mhm.
Music is even starting to get a little bit like that.
Yeah.
More than it ever has. Like the
Mhm.
idea of just being able to play the guitar and sing is like whoop de doo.
Yeah.
Not that long ago. That was the
Oh yeah.
wow.
It was an art form.
You
I
can
mean,
you can just do them both at the same time. Wow. Now that's like not who cares?
well, I think now too, we look at things like the idea of an influencer. An influencer doesn't necessarily mean you're good at anything, right? Any skill. Like it used to be, I'm a musician. That's a skill. That's a something that involves development. Not to say that influencers don't have skills that they have to develop.
No, the
but
skill is being able to manipulate and influence people.
correct.
That's the
But
skill.
it used to
which,
be
if you want that to be your skill, I mean, which is marketing.
yeah,
That's what
used to
marketing's always
be,
been.
I'm a musician. I'm really good. I am influential, and people want to play this guitar that I can play or wear this hat that I wear, things like that. Where it was never I'm an influencer, which is another word for maybe you saying a marketer. But you're like, so like even me, I'm like when someone says, "Oh, I meet a gal," and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm an influencer," and I'm like, I don't know. Oh, does that mean you can dress well? Like because me naturally, I want okay. What do you like to do?
What do you do?
What do you do? What lights you on fire? I mean, putting on clothes, maybe that's what.
Yeah, I mean, that's an art form.
That's
Fashion.
kind
Yeah,
of things like that.
totally.
But yeah, there's such a I think there's an oversaturation of a lot of things, and like photography is that way. But um I think how you separate yourself is the things you do when no one's watching, the stuff that people don't see, right? One thing, and it's been difficult sometimes for me to like, because it's a project that I'm working on, kind of going into like a leadership role or kind of helping people understand what are the things you do, what are successful habits, stuff like that. Because I'm like, okay, I've had some success. What did I do to be where I am today? And like, what are some of the things I can go, okay, if that was a moment that, right? And the one thing I tell people I do all the time is anything that I like, I have around me. So if you come in my place, that camera may not take pictures, but it's sitting there. That instrument, I may not be able to fully utilize it to the capabilities of what it can do, but it's sitting there. Or so sometimes it looks like clutter, but it's kind of like I'm still like when I couldn't afford the camera, like I had pictures of the camera sitting around. and I do it all the time. Like, yeah, I'm not going to take pictures today, but there's a camera sitting there.
So just keep things around you that inspire.
It just keeps you, because that's awesome. If you have things that like call you to action, like if there's a pair of shoes that like make you want to walk and be healthy and go outside, and you keep them visible where you can see them, like, oh yeah, I want to put those on and go do the thing. Which seems very small and regular and everything, but it's like another thing that allows you to do the things that separate you, because that's what's going to separate you. Like the stuff people see are not the things that in my opinion, that make you separate yourself or unique. It's the stuff that people don't see, which is sometimes could be meshed in with your demons and the bad things.
So I think I do listen to music differently than most people, just because I make it. But I think oftentimes people will be surprised how simplistically I listen to it at times as well. And I will just kind of just let it come at me.
Yeah.
Because I've had people be like, man, I wish I could like listen to it the way that you listen to it. Like it's this hyper technical pursuit. And if I was to analyze it, I could find if I don't like something or I do like something, I could probably start to technically analyze why I do or why I don't.
Yeah.
But when I really just first listen to it and stuff, I'm just listening.
Yeah.
Do people say the same thing about photography where they're like, man, I wish I could, I would say that I wish I could see how you see things. In my mind, it's like you just walk around and like you just see everything through like a frame. It's like, ooh, yeah. No.
I think
do you take little moments where it's like, oh, that would have been nice?
To yes and no.
Okay.
And actually to piggyback off of your music deal, what the thing I've noticed about myself recently is I listen to when I hear music, I listen to lyrics last. I can listen to a song 10 times and then I have to actively go back and be like, what were those words? What did he say? Like, I'm so very in a simplistic way, like, does the music make me move? How does it feel?
Yeah.
Right. I'll dig into a chord progression or something else later, but I'm like, do I listen? And I think that is the most important, maybe do people like it? Do you like it? Right?
Does it sound good?
Does
That's
it
the
sound
point of
good?
music.
Does it elicit a response?
Because if we're just writing poetry, why do we need the music? What are we doing? There's no groove. There's no. What's the point?
well, and with photography, the only time I go, oh, that'd be a good picture is if I don't have a camera, right? And I do that on purpose sometimes. I believe that sometimes the memory is important. And it doesn't have to, I don't need it going back to the sunset. Sometimes seeing the sunset and having that moment, I don't need a picture of it because I had that. Like I had that experience and it'll make me look forward to the next sunset.
Or you might view it differently through the lens.
Yeah. Oh, 1000%. Like when you put that camera in front of your face, it changes how it all the time. Because I think, and that's kind of the pursuit, right? Is I remember like the first time I put a new lens on a camera one time and I took a picture and I just go, but it's not how it looked. And then I'm like, man, how do I get everything to look like that? Because that was maybe the feel, the mood that I wanted to convey or I wanted to showcase my work. And I'm like, oh, there it is. But I don't know, like now it's immediate, like, okay, now it's more of an active thing. It went from very looking at something very simplistic. And then I saw it rendered a certain way. I'm like, okay, now I got to figure out how to do everything to look like that. But maybe it's not how it looks, it's how it feels. So I'm like, okay, now how do I make everything feel like that? Right. So like, I'm very much like when it comes to visual stuff, I'm very much a B-roll guy. Like I don't need I like the A shot, but like the B-roll's the stuff that tells the story, the meat, the stuff that fills it in. That's because that's what creates the feeling.
So
right?
Okay. How do you describe B-roll nowadays? Because it feels like B-roll nowadays for me is the dinner and the dessert. It's like becoming the main thing.
Yeah. I think for me, like the B-roll is it's not the flashy part. Like I think the A shot is that's it. Like that's the image that's on the poster. The B-roll's not the shot that's on the poster. But like the B-roll is what makes the movie cool. But it's the A shot's the stuff that gets you to the movie.
Doesn't it seem obvious now though that everybody just wants the B-roll? Like look at movies or TV shows. I mean, there's movies that end up getting popular just because they put the little blooper reels out.
Oh, there you go. That's the because I think the A thing. Well, there you go. The A shot makes it sci-fi, makes it non-human. The B-roll is what a lot relates it back to you.
Yeah, it's
right? What
real.
what makes it real, right? Or makes it possible. Because I think that's the difference. Like the A thing is the superhuman, the B shot is what makes it real, what makes it human, what makes it like, oh, I can do that now.
I think it's with so that's kind of what we were talking about with like how do you like make stuff not too overly produced and it needs to have some rawness to it. It's like capture things at an incredibly high level and quality.
Yeah.
That being music, photography, whatever it is, capture it at a very, very high technical level.
Yeah.
But what you're capturing, I feel like needs to be like have a sense of like in the moment rawness, a performance almost like something could have gone wrong, but you captured it and it wasn't wrong. Like
Oh yeah.
in music, it feels like the same, especially with AI happening. I feel like it's at all time importance to like the idea of like perfection is so bizarre to me. Where obviously, like in music, there's obviously things like where like everything's out of tune and out of phase, and it sounds like trash, and the person can't sing. It's like that level of imperfection I'm not really interested in.
Yeah.
But the idea that maybe the voice gets a little bit more gravelly here and then like it's call it pitchy.
Yeah.
But you're just doing a little run down, and the part of the pitchiness on the run down is what like makes it a human and makes it not AI. But technology has gotten where you can make everything so perfect.
Yeah.
But it's devoid of any like real human experience in the real world and in real life. And I feel like it's an all-time importance to like lean into what makes humans humans.
Yeah.
Because it's the only thing that's gonna be able to separate you from a computer.
I think AI is, in my opinion, AI is not designed to make mistakes. And that's how we learn.
Yeah, we're flawed creatures.
We make mistakes,
Yes.
we fail,
It's the thing that gives life meaning is the fact that you could do better. Like it's the yin and the yang thing. Like,
like I have this scar on my thumb from when I cut it with a knife. And it's like, it hurt in the moment, but I don't want that scar to ever go away.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like, man, and I remember, I mean, I had talked about the scar on my thumb in over a decade, but I'm like, but that's, or maybe, I got a weird finger crack or something, anything like that. It's like with AI that goes away. Right. And that's what makes AI, like it's not human. And yes, we're always in this pursuit of trying to make it perfect.
it's the human experience, man.
Yeah.
Like when like people will say, I don't know if you believe in God or anything like that, but like people will say like, well, if there is a God, how could there be so much evil? Like, how does evil exist if there's a God?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, like the only reason you know what evil is because you know what good is, and the only way that there's any good is because there's like a moral lawgiver that can
right. Has to be one or the other. Yeah.
So it's like somebody comes up and says something mean to you.
Yeah.
Right. The only reason you know that something's mean, or maybe it stands out that they come up and say they compliment you, and you go, man, that felt nice.
Yeah.
If all everybody ever did was walk around and give compliments, if there was no option to say something mean, then compliments don't have any meaning or value.
Yeah.
So it's like it's that.
Oh yeah, it's the you need. There is no light without dark,
and it's sad. Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, and that's the very, and I was talking to my cousin about, because I think going back to perfection, like I think socially we always look at like, you've really never seen, when you think of wedding pictures, you think of these really bright, pretty, angelic type of images. You've never really seen, unless someone's like got specifically a theme that's kind of dark or gothic or kind of looking. You never really seen these dark, moody wedding photos. Like that's not the immediate images to come to mind. But often those are more interesting, right? Those are like, I was talking to, I can't remember who said the quote. I was talking to my cousin who's a photographer. And I was like blowing his mind because sometimes all you have to do is say something a different way. And then like all of a sudden the light bulbs goes off. I'm like, I said it like light illuminates, shadows define. Like I'm effectively working on a 2-dimensional surface. How do I create the 3rd dimension? I need the shadows. I need the darkness, because that's what, like, light doesn't just cover everything. Like there is, some shadows. So like that's where how you convey a 3-dimensional object through a 2-dimensional medium. You need the darkness too. You need the grittiness.
It
You
creates
need
the depth.
yeah.
So-
All that stuff you need. Because like everyone knows when you see something that has AI, immediately you go, that's AI.
See, I wouldn't be able to technically know
Yeah.
how I know it's AI.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can feel
like
it.
with music, I could probably technically define it, but
Mhm.
with photography, I couldn't. So that's interesting
Yeah.
because I haven't really necessarily, and that's like a relatively simplistic thought. Is just have some depth and shadow and
Yeah.
stuff. But AI doesn't understand that yet.
Yeah. Or like I told him the other thing was like, I said, the bigger the light source, the softer the light. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, dude, you can cover, you see the sun? Sun's huge. But when you can cover it with your thumb, right? That's why those shadows are really long and cast really far. But if I take a bed sheet and I put it up in front of the sun, now the light's the size of the bed sheet, and it's softer and it wraps more and it's not as punchy, right? And it's just, but it's a simple when you like, because yeah, the bigger the light source, softer the light. The bigger those other
Dude, get this. I've had he's like there's a photographer video guy that we shot some video stuff together and he was not worried about light at all.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I didn't know enough at the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just now that I've talked to more people, they're like, wait, what? What do you mean he didn't care about light? And like he didn't there was no lighting.
Yeah.
And then, a lot of the stuff always looks a little bit it just always looks the same.
Yeah.
Everything that gets shot.
Mm-hmm.
There's no depth to anything.
Mm-hmm.
But he was just like, yeah, I can just do all that in post. And I'm like, okay, I don't know enough
You
about
didn't know
this.
enough to like, yeah.
That sounds odd. Like we're going to artificially manufacture the stuff that we could create right here.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew enough about art to be like, well, that's probably not going to be what I want.
Yeah.
But I didn't know.
But fair enough. Like I trust you. Like which like as an artist, like I appreciate that about you where you're going like, hey, this is my idea. Like I'm gonna kind of give you this and like you kind of interpret it and like, you know, and I trust you to do that, which I think is a good thing about hiring professionals, which I like hire the people that know what they're doing and let them do that.
Yeah.
And then you can go. But that's fun. Like it's funny when you said he wasn't worried about the light because part of me got excited because in my head I'm like, okay, he's available. He's just available to whatever comes from it. Right?
I will. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, but you got to earn that too.
Sure.
Right. You got to be like where people are like, you know what? Don't worry about it. We'll be cool. Like I can say that, but I know in my mind 100 miles an hour. I'm like, what's the light doing? Where's it falling? Like, I'll look at you going, I don't love that. Let's try something different kind of thing. But yeah, I mean.
I've been around enough like really, really talented people that don't get too worried about the minutia and the technical side of whatever it is that they do. Yeah. And what they come up with is amazing. And they'll just be like, don't worry about that stuff. Because that's kind of how I am a little bit with music and recording. But so I've been tricked as well by a few people that they have learned how to just be like, oh man, you just gotta like, it's just about being in the moment. Do that. And they like feed me and I'm like, yeah, totally. But then I get the thing back and I'm like, oh, I got the little Titanic whistle.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, okay, I got right there.
That was my army job. Like it was so much because the picture wasn't a creative image. It was just, I just wanted to photograph a person. You stand on the X, I push the button, we're good. But so much of it was the psychology of it, of like, I just had to make you feel good about the image. It didn't actually have to be a good one. And so, but I wanted it to be a good one, but I also knew that I had to use the force sometimes, be like, listen, it's going to be fine. I got this. This is where I need you to be. Like, I'm going to push the button. Things are going to happen. It's going to be good. Meanwhile, I'm like, I'm not trying to rush him out here, but I'm not trying to cause this appointment to go any longer because I'm trying to go to lunch. So let's like, hey, just jump in. I got this. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Like, we're going to make sure your uniform looks good. Bam, bam, bam. And then they're like, you know what? That was fun. I'm like, perfect. They fell for it. You gotta, it's.
Well, considering all of these factors that goes into like making a great shot, when you talk about shooting rodeos, because that's your bread and butter now.
Yeah.
I mean, all bets are off with being able to orchestrate certain things and talk about just having to work with the light that you got.
Yeah.
And then you have livestock that is not.
Does what it does when it wants to.
So I find it interesting to think about getting yourself in certain positions.
Yeah.
That I don't. Do you have
That's
certain things that you try to do? You try to think about like maybe this horse is going to go this way, or like is there stuff like that you consider?
That's all. I mean, that's kind of a big part of the pursuit now. Like, there's so many things out of my control that I just focus on the things that I can't control. Like, all right, this is the shot I have in my head. If this girl turns this barrel and she's still on her horse, and I frame it this way, it should be a good image. They got to do their part. I'm gonna make sure my stuff's good. I'm solid. And then or like if this guy's on a bucking horse, if he's in the position he's supposed to be, because like one of the things some of the old guys get hung up on is like the horse will be stretched out and maybe the guy's spurs are not, like he doesn't have his feet where he needs to. I'm like, guys, I can't spur the horse for the guy. Like if the horse is doing their job and I take the picture at the right
Funny,
time,
the photo they get back.
yeah. I'm like,
Oh.
yeah, if the horse is doing their job, I take the picture
You
at the
want me
right
to
time,
ride it
and
too?
you didn't move your feet, that's not my fault. Right? Like I can't help if that's the picture they decide to use because the rest of these bums are 70 and 69. I'm like, well, I guess we're going with this crappy 79 ride. He just happened to miss the spurt. Like the horse looks good. Sorry. Like I don't know what to tell you. Right? I can't get too consumed with that because now I'm like focused on too many technical things that I have zero control
No
over.
control.
Yeah. Like my control is to make a good image. Hopefully it represents you in a positive way. You stay on your horse, you do your deal, and we go about it. And then, because then that way, if I want to do something creative and work on something else, then I can, because a lot of what my work is about is, you could call it ego, but I think it's with anybody with anything. I don't ever want my images to be cool because just because I took a picture of something cool, right? Like part of me wants that percentage of me to be in there somewhere. Like, okay, this image is cool because I did something unique to it, right? Which effectively will separate me from somebody else.
So how do you gauge how well you did something in your world? Is that, do you like selling prints of it, or is it if you post it on social media, it does better? Like what would be the barometer that you even gauge that?
I don't even, I think part of it's experience, right? Because I think with any creative person, particularly in photography, when I have a conversation with someone and they're in a rut, that's usually the time I know that they are progressing, because now they're not impressed with everything they do, right? They're like, okay, yeah, that picture's good, right? Because I'm that kind of way. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's a good photo. Like, I mean, if it doesn't blow me away, I'm not going to run around and high five everybody in the room. I've had students like that where, like, if she took one good picture, she wanted me to like high five and war whoop and like throw my hat and everything. I'm like, it's a good photo, but hopefully you'll keep taking good photos,
It's one,
right?
yeah.
Right. But if today is your peak,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So like, let's continue to get better. Like, okay, now let's make your good photos not lightning strikes. Let's make it more of like a consistent thing that you can do, right? Because then you can start to get your great images, or the images, because now I'm like, I have it broken down that way. Oh yeah, it's a good photo. And there's some that's like, that one's pretty solid, right? Because the ones, and then there's like the image where like, okay, that image I'll show the rest of my life. Like when people ask me about a certain image, or like, hey, what's your favorite image? There's levels to that, right? I don't want my favorite images to just be good images, right? I want them to be extraordinary. I want them to have a level of feeling that people are like, oh man, I remember when. But I also know there's certain images, they just haven't lived long enough. Like I took a picture of Stetson Wright and Ryder Wright, and they're just sitting there hanging out talking, but it immediately reminded me of a really old picture of like Lane Frost and some of the guys from 20 years ago, which it's a good image, but it just hasn't lived long enough, right? It's got to have some years on it. Like, when you see someone like, man, that's Ty Murray and he looks like he's 20, you're like, oh man, that's pretty incredible, right? And someone had the foresight in that moment to take that image, right? Because like, okay, this image is going to be really important one day, right? So there's different, but yeah, so there's a lot of things that go into.
That's actually I don't know if that exists in music in that way.
Yeah.
Like a photo and capturing a moment, like humans don't really typically appreciate something till it's gone.
Yeah.
Or like when those guys are way older.
Yeah.
Or, they're dead or something. It's like that photo has more value. I mean, it happens a little bit when artists die, but I don't
Yeah.
know if we like the idea of capturing a musician or like a singer in their 20s.
Yeah.
It's like they're never gonna probably sing like they were in their 20s. And I don't know if people really think, I don't even really
Yeah.
think about it that way. It's still just like this
So-
static, timeless music
Yeah.
thing. But photography,
Yeah.
I feel like has this different
Yeah. Like
looking back at it.
Yeah. I think about it as far as like people's voices, but like, so like we talked about Kaleo and still I think about
Scandinavia. Are
Yeah.
they from
Iceland. They're from Iceland.
Iceland?
And I think about JJ's voice and I'm like, I really can't wait to hear his voice 20 years from now. Because he's got an incredible voice with a lot of range and a
Now.
lot of things he can do now.
Yeah.
And as you age, usually you lose some of something, but like that growl, that raspy deal that he's got, I'm like, dude, when he gets 60, that's going to be pretty interesting to hear that then, right? So I think about that sometimes, but I think with photography it works differently. Like, oh, this song will be, because I don't think
you ever say like this
Yeah.
song will be more important
Yeah.
when I get older, or like this will be better when I
Yeah.
get older.
Yeah.
But photography, you could take it like
Yeah.
of that moment and then be
Mhm.
like, oh, dude, in 30 years, this photo's going
This
to
photo's
rip.
going to be
You know?
really, yeah. This,
I don't think you ever say that about music.
Yeah, this photo's going to be really important, or
Yeah,
this is
never
going to be
really.
a moment, or I was just showing the picture.
It's like an obvious statement once you say it.
Yeah.
But I've never really actually thought
Like
about
I
that.
show the photo every now and then of me I took a couple years ago when there was a shooting at UNLV, and everybody, all the contestants, all the announcers, we were all in the Thompson Mack, which is where the shooting happened. It's kind of almost diagonal down the sidewalk from where this deal was. So they hold everybody in the building, and then when they finally cleared everything and they let us walk out the back alleyway, I took this picture of us walking by, and when you zoom in on the picture, you can barely see it. There's a cop coming back past us, and you can see him. He's got his pistol right here, and you can see the badge on his waist, but he still looks like a regular guy. So when you don't know what a shooter looks like, you're like, oh, you're very hyper focused on him. But when I took that picture, I didn't even think about it, right? I never saw him. I was like, oh yeah. But then I'm like, man, that picture's in the moment, I go, man, that's going to be an important picture. 10, 20 years from now, when we look back on that moment and you see like Josh Frost on a horse, just riding a horse, and there's barrel racers here. And I even mentioned it when I posted it. The feeling in that moment, that lane of dirt had never had that before. Like when people come in the Thompson Mack and they come down that alley, it's the biggest moment in their lives. They've reached the National Finals Rodeo. And here we are leaving under this moment of grief, under this moment of stress, like not knowing when we get to come back through here again before it all starts. So it's like this, you've turned it, that feeling of in that moment is completely different in that space, because I can't imagine what it was like the first time riding down that alley, knowing that fortunately no one died in that particular area, but could you imagine if someone had gotten shot there and then you've got to come back through that space a day later or two? Like, so there, but like you knew in that moment, like this image is valuable. Even if I don't ever sell this image, it's valuable because of, that moment in time. And it only it doesn't depreciate. Like it continues to become more and more valuable because now you can look back at it.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that is wild. Was that early on in the rodeo that happened?
That was before it started.
That's right. Yeah,
we were doing
that's right.
rehearsals and
Yeah.
it was crazy. I had just walked outside to come around the building to get to the front of the building. We come in, they're like, we're on lockdown. I'm like, okay. I thought they were just working something out. And the next thing you know, you're like, there's an active shooter. I'm like, wait, what? And then and my assistant's like, I got to go to the bathroom. I'm like, you got to wait.
Yeah.
Right. And fortunately I had the wherewithal to let me at least take my camera with me. And I don't care about these lights. We can get more lights, but this camera is kind of important in the moment.
I would imagine there's a lot of videographers and photographers that don't want to be in the pen. Huh?
I tell people when I'm teaching, your best ability is your availability. You cannot make money if you're hurt. You don't get any extra points getting wrecked out in the arena.
But you might get some cooler shots.
If your camera survives.
Yeah, totally.
Right? You don't. And it's funny. I would always it actually got flipped on its head this weekend at this rodeo I was just at. I always tell people we are a part of the show. We are not in the show. And then I go to a rodeo this weekend and they've got a whole spotlight, like, let's introduce Click in the middle of the, like, I didn't find out to the production
Oh,
meeting.
cool.
I'm like, which is cool. Like, hey, this is, the photographer, blah, 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 everybody, and you're like, hey, if one person learned who I was or saw my work, because that's pretty cool. I even had a family, because where their building was to my hotel, it was like less than a mile. And I was waiting on some friends. I'm like, man, they taking too long. I could have just walked down the street and been there. Well, I start walking, and as I'm getting there, I get to the corner, and this family stops, and their whole family gets out of their truck to take a picture with me because they saw me during the intro of this deal, which I'm like, that's insane.
That's incredible.
Yeah. But like, yeah, they originally, it turned out to be a selfie, and then they realized like no one's coming, no traffic's behind them. So they all, like, to the wife and husband, their 2 kids, like everyone jumped out to get this photo with me. I'm like, this is incredible.
It's important, dude. AI is worrying me. I'm not like an anti-technology type person, but in the arts, it's really bizarre.
Yeah.
Because like the whole point of art is human expression.
Yeah.
So I'm already getting demos and all sorts of stuff from like songwriters and stuff that they're just like, they're using AI to like develop the melody and everything. And I'm like, what is even the point of any of this?
Yeah.
Like at that point, it's truly just for attention or money.
Yeah.
It's not about the process at that point of like actually expressing yourself in a human way.
Yeah.
And putting in the effort and doing something that's unique. No. Like you're purely just using technology now to just be able to gain some attention. Which photography be the same way, videography.
Yeah.
So I hope at some point there's a way that there will always be people that are cool. They're maybe just not into art or whatever, and they're totally okay with consuming something artificially made, which is fine. But there will always be a segment of society, I think, that wants to who's like, did you actually go through this song that you wrote about, or did you just have a, computer make this up, or were you actually there when you took the photo? Was that a real human behind the lens? Like there's a segment of society that cares about that.
Oh yeah.
And I hope that there's maybe some way to get art that is like AI free or something. Like maybe there's like a governing
AI free tab.
You know what I mean? Like it'd be like pesticide free.
Yeah. Organic.
Yeah. Art. Like there was no AI used in the making of this, and that even starts to get a little bit squirrely, because if you're using any type of Photoshop or if you're using any type of editing tools for your music and stuff, it's like there's elements of that are artificial, I guess. So it's a slippery slope. But
I think it goes back to your original point of that's how you separate yourself. Because I think AI is...
Yeah, but don't you think AI is going to get good enough at a point where it's going to figure that out?
I think it's still numbers. And eventually it's going to repeat itself.
Okay.
And if enough people do it, it's going to repeat itself again. And like, I think that you have to have the mistakes. And I always tell people, like, for what I do, like particularly photography, loving the subject is not enough. Like you have to love the craft too. Like you have to fall in love with pushing the button just as much as the image that it produces, right? You have to, because that's the thing, when everything goes, going back to when no one's around, when no one's there to hear it, like you have to love pushing the button. And that can be enough. Like that keeps you, you'll be content with that. Like you have to love the feel of that, like that string hitting it, or like any of that. Like that's the thing that I don't know that you could ever replicate that, right? Because you use AI does all the work, right? And as we've all found, we get the most gratification from the work, right? I think, at least, particularly as a creative, like I get the most gratification from, oh, I did all this to get to here. Like, and then like,
once it's like done, it's a little bit like, okay, what's the next thing?
What's the next thing?
It's the process.
Yeah, for sure. The labor pain's not the baby.
Yeah.
Like the baby's awesome, but like, I think,
or like making the baby.
Yeah.
That's probably a fun part too.
Yeah. That's always, that's the jam too. Right. Yeah. Or practicing.
Practicing. The practice is probably way better.
Yeah, that's the craft. That's the craft. That is the craft. Like it's, that's the whole idea of like the journey is the destination. There's not like, because the destination is always an endpoint. Like that's why we drive these obnoxious distances to do the thing but what do we look back on fondly? The drive, the moments, the road, the whatever it took us to get to this point or the checkpoint.
Dude, that's why I hate surprises.
Really?
Hate them. I always tell my wife she loves surprises, but like it makes me mad whenever she surprises me with something. Like if it's like a surprise vacation, or even like for my birthday, like we had a bunch of friends and stuff, and like she wanted to surprise me, but she had to tell me about it because I had stuff going on, and I was like, "Do not ever surprise me with that stuff."
Yeah.
And it's because I want to get excited about it.
Okay.
It's like the lead up to it.
Yeah.
Is like, and I'm like, oh, we're going to get to hang. And because typically the day of, it's like you're doing whatever, you're on the vacation, like right when it's over, you're like, oh. But the lead up to it, just the excitement. And I'm like, that's like part of the fun for me. You're like stealing that from me. So if you really want to like give me a gift, like let me get excited about going on the ski trip.
I don't think AI can replicate that.
I know. Excitement.
Yeah. The excitement, the lead up.
Anticipation. Yeah, right. Human experience.
Oh, yeah.
Well, sick, dude. Well, we're going to do a shoot together.
Yeah.
You're going to have to cool photos. Make me look real good.
I'm not going to use any light. Don't worry about it. We'll just figure it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Hell yeah. Well, this was fun, dude.
Yeah.
It's nice to like meet some people that like really, truly love the process and love to do it.
That's
so, I mean, like, I don't know enough about your world in terms of like how you really make money. I know like getting hired for events and like shooting specific projects is probably how you make most of it, but selling actual
images I'm doing more of selling prints now because like, I think because everything's so digital, like I think there's an appreciation for a printed image and being a tangible thing. Kind of like with me and records, like I love physically holding even an old one. And just like, especially when like a record's older than me, like I love the fact, man, this still works, or it's perfect, or like this is out of a time machine kind of feel. And they like a great photo, they get better with time. You know, and it's tangible. Oh yeah, he took this photo and whenever, and this was that, you know. So yeah, like definitely selling the contestants, selling sponsors. I get hired by the actual rodeo or committee itself, or you know, there's a bunch of different ways that you can do it. So you really have to be kind of flexible in that way, and like not always do it the same way, which I think is good because it allows me to shoot stuff differently. You know, I can kind of almost specialize the images for the client. And I even do that for contestants when maybe without them knowing that. Like if I know I'm going to see a contestant 3 times over the course of a weekend, why would I shoot them the same way 3 times?
Yeah.
Right. I can why sell just 1 photo when you can sell 2 or 3 or, you know, give them some variety. I mean, maybe I think about people's like cover photos on their Facebook or like, well, what's the new thing on Instagram or how can they, there's one like a cool boot photo I took that like I've done stuff for Durango boots in the past. And I got this one photo of literally a guy coming off a steer and like that boot is still in like the stirrup as it's coming out and you can read Durango like perfect on it. I'm so fired up about the image, but like no one else is going to use it other than the guy in the boot deal. But I'm like, hey man, I got a picture that like you guys are going to want.
Oh, that's perfect.
You know, but so there's all kinds of little ways to just look at stuff differently. And again, but it goes back to when you're trying to create something different and then you have to go back to the craft, or maybe I need to learn a new instrument or a new lens or a different, you know, way of applying stuff. And, you know, that's what I enjoy probably the most.
Yeah.
As long as I keep, and I love looking back on old images and seeing like, oh, that little piece of light's there because I'd learned something and did that and I can trace up. So that's my jam.
Beautiful. All right, y'all go follow him on Instagram. He's got a website too.
ClickThompson.com. Pretty much everything's at Click Thompson. Snapchat. If I don't respond on Snapchat, I'm getting there. My Snap count's really low.
Snatch chat. I'm not allowed to have it. My wife calls it Snatch chat.
Snatch chat. It do be like that sometimes. it do be like that. I was hanging out with Bullfighter.
Sign it. You sign them off with the
sign out. Some Virginia.
2 up, 2 down. Yeah. What is that one?
2 up, 2 down, man.
2 up, 2 down.
Yeah. I don't know if they're backwards in the camera, but you meant what I knew.
Hell yeah. Well, thanks for doing this, man.
You bet, brother.
See y'all later. 2 up, 2 down. There you go.